me say something.
All right, do you have us here? So, and actually, we're all just speaking into this, which actually probably make it even louder.
Yeah, it's great.
Because this is to get attention.
I know.
We're getting attention from people.
Because we're influencers.
I'm a VMP, remember? Not a VIP, I'm a VMP. Very mediocre person. So.
You know what? Mediocre is a good place to be.
And
I love it. It's
because mediocre is one of those places where you don't suck.
You know,
Awesome.
that's on film because he's
But
recording.
yeah, no, we're going.
No, we're good.
Mediocre is great. Like I said, it means you don't suck, but there's no expectations. It's like, right?
Expectation management is.
It's kind of like, all right, you ever watch the, you see on Twitter where they do the circles, you know, your friend circle?
Yeah.
You want to be in ring 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in ring 1. There's
Right.
too much pressure in ring 1.
Yes.
Yes.
Ring 2, you're just the buddy, you're a wingman or
Yeah.
wing woman, right?
Yeah.
Ring 3 means, all right, I tweeted at you once or twice.
Yeah.
Ring 2, that's
It goes
That's
back
it.
to my whole philosophy.
Sweet
of the
spot.
mon- goes back to my whole philosophy of the moniker I was given this week, most unknown known person.
Yes.
Maybe. I'm going to live that lifestyle, that philosophy.
You have a problem, though. You have a problem with that.
What's that?
You showed up here as an influencer, and your unknown status, you're going to lose it because
Yeah,
you're becoming a
true.
known person.
Yeah.
No.
I will.
I'll go back into the turtle shell after this week. People will forget about me until InfoCom, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember you." So, there's a strategy. It's like the perfect Irish goodbye. That's exactly what I'm going to do. The perfect
Yes.
Irish goodbye
Yeah.
until InfoCom.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna kick this thing off formally.
No, it's
No,
going.
it's
Kicking it
going.
off.
Oh, it's going?
We're kicking
Yeah.
off. So,
Yeah.
so let's do this. Let's have everyone. All right, that's a perfect start to an ISE.
Yeah.
It's just a hodgepodge.
It just
this
goes.
whole show. So we are here. This is. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Higher Ed AV podcast episode 200.
This is 200.
This is 200 right
Wait.
here.
So I was on 1, and now I'm at 200.
1 and then 200.
Nice.
And I think I was on 1, and I think I was on 100 too. So I'm just the milestone person.
You are.
That's awesome.
Miles.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll just call you Mr. Milestone.
There we go.
There you go.
I'll dig it.
All right. I guess people should introduce themselves. So, hey, welcome to the Higher Ed AV podcast. My name is Joe Way. I am your host, and we have a good one for you today. Sitting here next to me are 3 veterans. Well, 2 veterans and an unknown known person. We are here. We're recapping ISE 2023. There's only one thing left to do after this, and it's our Higher Ed happy hour. And that's
Yeah.
the perfect way to end ISE. So I'm just going to pass the mic, introduce yourselves, tell people, 1, who you are, what you do, and what you've been doing here at ISE.
Good deal. Well, thank you. My name's Ryan Gray. Day job, you'll find me at Yavapai College in Northern Arizona as the Assistant Director of IT. This week, you will have found me in doing booth tours, shooting videos, doing podcasts, and trying to find everything we can find to get back to people in higher ed. And it's been a whirlwind, and it's been a blast.
Great.
All right, hey everyone. I'm Mike Peterson. My day job is Audiovisual Experience Manager at Iowa State University. But again, as Ryan said, I get to play press person this week, and that's been really fun to support higher ed AV media and bring you all the best of the higher ed technology.
Yep. And in another life, I'm BC Hatchett. I'm the Associate Director for Classroom Technology at Vanderbilt University in the lovely Nashville, Tennessee, which, from what I understand, had an ice storm this week. So I definitely picked the better location to be. So, like the other folks, I've been walking around, hitting up booth tours, doing some podcasts, seeing all the sites, trying to find a new need because all the walking has ruined the one good one that I have left. So, if you want to get some miles in, you will get more miles at ISE than you will InfoCom, and I would bet large sums of money on that fact.
Yes, that is
Yeah,
true.
no, and not just on the show floor,
No.
but
Yeah.
walking the city of Barcelona.
Absolutely.
So we are talking best of ISE. Before we get into the technology, what's it like being somewhere? Because we have 3 rookies on press passes. Talk about the
Yeah.
press pass situation.
It's awesome. I mean, cutting the line early in the morning, access to the press lounge and all the benefits that come with that. I'm digging it, right? But and also being, I've been at trade shows. You always see the people with the cameras going around doing the interviews. to be on the other side of that camera, that's kind of fun.
What's it like? What's it like?
What's it like? What's it like? It's you feel a little bit. There's a little celebrity feeling you get from that.
So I kind of feel like kind of equate it to travel. That's what we're doing here. It's kind of like flying first class, right? It's like you get the food and the all the amenities that go along with it. So it's kind of spoiled me. Next time I go to a show and I don't have that press credential, I'm going to feel kind of like I'm back in coach. So I'm either going to have to continue to get press passes or figure out how to forge them. So.
And we technically have our own server.
Yes,
We do.
it's amazing. Like the booth that ISE set up for us has been fantastic. This has really enhanced the show experience from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, why would we ever not have a press pass at a show from here on out?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, no reason not to.
Yeah, and the other thing about the experience is usually I'm at a trade show looking for stuff from me, and now all of a sudden you're like, well, now I have to represent a lot of other people.
Yes.
What do they want to know? What questions do they want to ask? So you got to kind of live in someone else's head and bring more than just what you're looking for.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, how did you figure that out? How did you make that step? What is the difference on those eyes when you're talking to somebody?
No, I think the step one is being connected with so many people before you come, because the conversations that people have been in, we have the same problems, we talk about the same things, but now you're like, okay, you tell me about something and I can go, I know someone who has that, and that's not how they're describing it, so let's dive deeper into that question.
Yeah, I had a similar experience yesterday during the meetup where I chatted with someone from Norway, and we were talking about, I was like, so I'm just kind of curious. I know kind of what my colleagues in the U.S. go through, like their challenges and their successes. What kind of challenges and successes do you face, in your institution? And he was listing them all, and I was like, those are the exact same things that we face.
Yeah.
So, and same thing with the successes as well. So they kind of really validated a little bit of what I was hoping as one of the assumptions I had coming out here, is that it's not just a U.S. thing; it's a global thing in higher ed. All of our challenges and successes.
Yeah, let me reiterate that. I was able to attend a Skolm's lunch, our partner entity here, and met two gentlemen from Malta, and exact same experience. It's like, I would say, well, this is how we do things, and they're nodding, yep, exactly, and then they would explain how their organization is set up and how they use students and how they this and that, and I'm like, it's all the same, So it gives you a really global feeling that, hey, we're doing something right.
Yeah. All the same, but with better accents.
Right.
Right.
Hold on, I learned something. It's not HDMI, it's HDMI. HDMI.
Huh. I almost think Mark Cox would love that. I hate.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so this is also I'm going to give you the question. This is your first ISE for all three of you all.
Yep.
We are in a kind of best of ISE. So talk about what is your just general impression of ISE. You're not rookies to Infocom. You're not rookies to CCMC, ETC. You're definitely not rookies to the HEPMA conference.
Yeah.
So what is the difference? What's your general overall feel?
I'll go first. I mean, you have to acknowledge the scope on two fronts. Not only the size, there's over 1,000 people exhibiting here, which is huge, but the variation of types of technology is huge. So it's fun to watch. You kind of have to switch brain sets as you go down from one type to something else, but you see something and you get ideas. Welcome, thank you for joining the show. You get ideas about things you hadn't thought of in a booth that's just next to one that is full of stuff that you already know something about.
I've probably gone to 20 plus Infocoms, in my career. First ISE, some things are very familiar, right? I mean, this is obviously a pro AV trade show. At times you could be walking through and just think, oh, this is Infocom, right? It all looks the same. You've got the same booths. At the same time, I think ISE is in some ways better laid out, better organized. It's instead of one or two giant halls that you're trying to find things through. You've got 8 different halls, and and separated by some verticals, and so it's almost easier to navigate. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that, but a couple things that kind of stand out. I'll talk first is about the booths. They're massive. The booths here are gigantic. Like it's kind of shocking how big they are. And also a tip for our Infocom friends on the manufacturing side. Their booths here almost universally have refreshments of some kind. Coffee, food, libations, all the good stuff. So let's try to bring some of that into Infocom, please.
Yes.
Second of all, one thing that kind of struck me is, generally with Infocom, there's a day before the show starts and full of educational sessions.
Right.
We don't really have that here.
Yeah.
A lot of it is more focused on making connections on the show floor.
Yeah.
You have some educational programs, but it's not focused on like gear specific. It's more focused on the industry itself. So I think that was actually really cool because it allows you to kind of explore at your own pace and not have to feel like you've got to run to this hall to take this class and then run over to a meeting here with this manufacturer. It allows you to focus on one specific goal.
Yeah. Another thing I would say about ISE is the 4 days versus the 3 days. Now, some people, there's pros and cons of that. I was talking to gentlemen earlier that for years, as the post-Infocom, what would you do better? I've said you need to go to 4 days. You need to go to 4 days at Infocom because it's just too much to cover, and you can do it more. You can even be more relaxed about it. You don't have to feel so rushed to get to everything. You have that extra day.
Yeah, and I would just add, like, no joke on it, we could not have gotten to everything we did this week in 3 days.
No.
Yep.
We couldn't have done it. And from where we are right now, I could be in any one of 1,000 booths
Right.
within 4-minute walk
Right. Yeah.
from this place. And
Yeah.
and in Las Vegas, that does not happen.
We have a cameo. Come over here. You know that if I see you standing there,
Come on.
Mr. Dave Labuscus, we are doing a wrap-up Best of ISE show here, okay? One, pretend people don't know who you are, tell people what you do, and then you have to answer the question, how was the ISE show this year for you? What really was the big takeaway from all that?
My name's Dave Labuscus. I'm Joe Way's personal assistant. My big takeaway from the show, transformational.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about this as we're back. This is unlike any ISE that's ever taken place. The experiences on the show floor, the ability to immerse yourself in technology, the physical representation of the continual expansion of the audiovisual industry. I mean, for so long we've been talking, I can't believe I'm going to say this phrase, about AV and IT, but the reality is, as content continues to expand its presence throughout all of the strategies of every corporation, and as AV continues to be the primary mechanism for sharing that content, what is reality is that 5 to 10 years from now, every company on the planet is going to be an AV company
Right.
Yeah.
and
Yes.
a content production company. And what you see here this week is a reflection of that 3 to 5 year look ahead in an
Yeah.
environment and with mechanisms and strategies of customer facing sharing of information that we've never seen before. And so, yeah, it's awesome. It's great to have the crowds again. It's great to have all the smiles and to have all of that which we've had for decades, but transformational.
Yeah.
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 And I really was just stopping by to say hi, and I saw all these cool guys hanging out here. And I'm like, well, let me listen to them for a second.
Well, what I would add to that is what's kind of becoming clear is that what's an AV thing, what's an IT thing is more about us. Our users, our customers don't care what
Right.
it is. And you find that out here because exhibitors are talking about customer experience and the immersive experiences that we make with the technology, and who cares what we label it on the backside. It really is, that feels different than at previous trade shows.
Yeah, but it just goes so much further than that. I mean, a year from now, we're going to be saying, is that an AV thing or a retail thing?
Yeah.
Oh,
We're going to
right.
be saying, is that an AV thing or a hospitality thing?
Right.
Are we going to be saying that's AV or healthcare?
Yeah.
Or is that content or is that broadcast? Is
Right.
that think
You're right.
I think that conversation. Yeah, I think I've been trying to kill that conversation for 10 years. But I think what's going to happen is it just becomes even less less meaningful. Who cares what it is, because it's part of delivering a retail experience. It's part of delivering a hospitality experience. It's part of delivering government services to the population. Everything that we do is going to be AV.
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound like, wow, we're taking over the world. I just think it's an acknowledgement. Look at the transition of Facebook Live, YouTube, the platforms that all of you are using every day to actually get these cool stickers called influencers, and layer that on top of Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Zoom. It's like if you picture a pyramid of filling with water, right? So you're filling it from the bottom, right? We all use a pyramid to describe, and there's always that pinnacle of the industry. So just picture that visual, and as that pyramid fills up with water, there will still be a tiny little drop of air at the top that'll be pure AV, whatever that's called. And there will be people that make a fabulous living and solve incredibly challenging problems in that little bubble area. But all the rest of industry, communications, presence, customer facing, that's all AV. So
Yeah, no, you're a wise man. All right, and then the last question.
And you're late for your
spent-
appointment.
Yeah, but that's all right. There's video proof that you were working.
Yeah.
Do we get 4 days at InfoComm?
No, isn't?
No,
No,
I know.
if-
We want it though. We were just
we
talking
want that
about
4 days. We want that 4 days.
well, that conversation's, that's the same as AVIT. So every attendee wants another day at every show. Every exhibitor wants one less day at every show. And we love you, and without you, we don't have exhibitors.
Right.
But we don't really charge you much.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, and to clarify one thing you said, yes, AV, we are taking over the world. I just wanted to be clarified about that.
Yes, I love it. Thank you very much for accepting the cameo.
Sure.
Always a
Good
pleasure.
to see you.
Always a
Good
pleasure.
to see you.
Take care.
I love that, and actually, I think that what Dave just said was actually completely true. How we're having this conversation is AV. Like, what do we fit into? Maybe everything else is fitting into us.
Yeah.
Maybe we've
Right.
been looking at it differently, right? And then, of course, as the head of the AV Association, of course he's going to see it. But maybe that is how we should be thinking about it,
Yeah.
right? Because
Right.
AV is in retail, hospitality, our classrooms.
Yep.
BC often says, I've got a law, I've got this, I've got that, right?
Yep.
I'm not just doing a traditional classroom. And maybe I think we kind of saw that here. We saw that this week. So I'm going to ask, before we get into a couple, we'll talk about a couple of pieces of gear that stuck out. But I want to ask one other question to you. We did a pre-record episode before, and you guys hadn't been here. We did a little bit of guessing of what you would expect and all of that stuff. How did Barcelona and ISE live up to any pre-expectations you may have had? Mike, let's take this one first.
All right. Wow. First of all, I don't even remember what I said in that episode, so let's just be honest about that. But no, as far as thinking about what my expectations were, yeah, I think it's exceeded any expectations I have. Barcelona is a beautiful city. It's been so great to. The food's been amazing. And like I said, I found this trade show well organized, well run, and yeah, it's great stuff.
Same thing. Barcelona is spectacular. The city is impressive from top to bottom. And like I was saying, the food is spectacular. You can be walking down a little narrow alleyway and come across the most fantastic restaurant you've ever eaten at. And then the next night, do the same thing in a different restaurant.
Yeah. I'm
thoroughly convinced you could be here for 2 years, eat a new restaurant every day, and still, not touch all of them.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
no, it's definitely lived up to my expectations. One thing I was really hoping to do was meet some folks that I've interacted with in Twitter, only because they live across the pond, so to speak. And then also just kind of learn from a different culture, like how they do their processes, how they work. So other than that, I think it's been a great success.
Right.
Yeah, and I would echo those things, but if you're thinking about coming to ISE, you cannot parachute in on the first day of the show and then leave on the last day of the show.
Right.
You won't see Barcelona during that, right? Once the
Right.
show's on,
Yes.
there's stuff to do and you're on the move, and it's nice here, but it's 72 and fluorescent under the lights here.
Yeah.
You've got to come early and stay late because you need to see the other parts of Barcelona where you're just wandering, turn a corner, and there's an alley, and it's got trees and lights overhead,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I'm in a movie,
I know.
and everything here is amazing.
So beautiful last night. Yeah.
Allergies are killing me for some reason. But yeah, one thing about Barcelona is things do not open early over here
No.
at all.
No.
So if you're an early riser, you just gotta kind of manage expectations there because it's
Yeah.
just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But for those of us who are night owls, this place is perfect.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
And speaking of that, we're supposed to have a fifth person here. Barcelona
Oh,
got the
yeah.
best of her.
Yeah.
Right,
Day,
yeah.
day forward here. But I think all conferences do that. They take a hit, but this one goes at a whole different level,
Yeah.
right? But yes, we did have Karen Heath here. We have this is her fake chair right here, right? For joining us. It's been great, but as we get into some gear that might have stuck out, I'll stick with one. I need to call out a fellow higher ed person, Larry Darling, who was 100% wrong on Twitter the other day. And the reason for that, there was conversation about, will 21.9 ever do anything? And there was a big conversation, and we'll go to the Panasonic booth?
Yeah.
What aspect ratio was over there? 21.9. All right, so we don't need to get into the debate whether that'll take off, but my response was, once one creates one,
Yeah.
and because Hollywood wants 21.9.
Yes.
It's the natural resolution for them. It actually makes things easier, and now we saw it. There was another booth, another video display booth, I didn't even know their names, and they had a 21.9 direct view LED.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, okay, so maybe it's coming. So I'm going to take that as my first little takeaway piece of wow. So I'll pass over. What was your gear? What was something that impressed you over this?
Well, I was lucky enough to do a podcast recording first with Art, who has a holographic telepresence technology that's fantastic. But I got to hear about it before then going to tour the booth and seeing it. And it's to say that it's different than anything you've seen is an understatement. It's different than anything you've seen.
Yeah.
And it's not overly complicated how they do it. And so it literally has that feeling of like you are standing and talking to someone, but they could be across the world, and 0.3 seconds latency brings them in 3D right in front of you or in front of your audience. And the conversation about the different experience that can be than a head in a box on Zoom, one more flat person sitting in there versus the level of interaction. And then, as he said, is that AV? Yeah, but it's retail and it's hospitality and it's all of the things. They had great examples, but also it's education. And both the sales part of education, which is experiences for people visiting colleges and what that can mean, and bringing a more human and personal interaction to both kind of instruction and bringing in guests in a way that their message will stand out from just looking at a screen.
Yeah, can you imagine using that for recruiting at a university? It would be
was
a
awesome.
killer recruiting tool
was awesome.
there. But I'm gonna throw my technology manager hat on, and sometimes it's the simple things that makes our lives so much easier. So I'm gonna call out Sharp NEC, who showed a direct USB-C input on their flat panel displays. So I've said for a while on my blogs that again, AV is IT. I think HDMI is the last dedicated audio video connector that we're going to see. It's going to be these IT type connectors. It's going to be USB-C. It's going to be Thunderbolt. And so for them to be first to market with a direct USB-C input, and not only is it an input, you get 60 watts power, so you're charging your laptop that's connected to the display. They've got they've got USB connectors on the display itself. You grab your microphone bar or your camera bar, you plug it in USB to the display, and then you grab that one USB-C connection, connect it to your laptop, and you are ready to roll. Super convenient. And I'm telling you what, I'm going to take that back to my team, and we're probably going to get one in for evaluation.
All right.
Nice. So kind of following along with Mike. My favorite things when I come to these shows is to look for what I call the quality of life items. Like when you said the bent metal is always kind of an
always
impressive.
find a bent metal piece. I love.
Always. So I found one from is something called the Cohen Group, and it is a frame that you can install around your flat panel where the whiteboards fold out, so that you don't have to fight for wall space between whiteboard and flat panel display, because that's always the biggest battle when we're trying to design rooms out. Where do you have the writing surface? Where do you have the display surface? You don't have to have that battle anymore. It's right there, super convenient, on the display. Close it when you're done, open it when you need it. I can't wait to get some of those in.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. This is the awkward pause part where I figure out how to turn it. No, I'm going to flip it back to BC.
Oh, no.
I built up software in VX before we came.
Did.
You did. I gave a little bit of a teaser because I was familiar with it before the show. But are we still recording? What? Oh, low battery. How we do? Well, we're almost done anyway. How we doing? Yeah, that's pretty low battery. That is a low battery there.
Okay.
But we're gonna go until we can go.
Stop it.
Here we go. Well, we got a couple things. So I'm gonna say software in VX. Did it live up to the hype?
Absolutely, lived up perfectly. Fantastic. I think it's going to be a game changer as we continue to try to evolve away from boxes as our signal distribution. So can't wait to see it flesh out more and get it into the active environment.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And if we do die, we'll just switch and put mine.
Yeah.
We could
yeah.
actually do smart and just take a break, and I can edit them together.
That's true.
So let's do that.
Let's do that.
Because we'll get about 10 or 15 more minutes.
So we'll be
Technical
back
timeout.
in a moment.
All right. And we're back after that slight interruption by our wonderful. We could list everybody else. This conference was paid for by.
Yes.
Well, I know.
Right?
I said, Joe, you should find some vendor and have them pay for a commercial break there in the middle. So now a word from our sponsor.
Yeah, that's actually a genius idea.
I know it is.
But all right, so software in VX lived up to the hype,
Did.
100%.
Yep.
Aurora Multimedia, how about that box? Talk about that box.
That was great. Like literally when Paul was listing off everything that it did, I was like, so does it also julienne fries? Does it, it literally anything you can think of, this box does, to the point where he said they were going to start including a bottle opener in with the shipment, because it would also that's just the one last thing that it lacks. So I'm really excited to get one of those in, try it out, just kind of see if you can live up to the hype, and I'm actually very, very confident that it will.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That was funny when he's like, I should put a bottle opener. But he was actually serious. He's like, if it ships with a bottle opener,
Yeah.
because it
That
was
would be
really
awesome.
exactly what was missing. I mean, just the I/O on that thing was incredible.
Yes.
And being able to use it off of USB-C. I mean, again,
Absolutely.
going to that. I'm going to say one more, and we just got back from Sennheiser. How about the Ceiling Connect M?
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about the M there?
No, I mean, again, anytime you can make something in a more convenient form factor, it's, again, that ease of use, thing that we're
Yes.
talking about. Absolutely. So, same great functionality as their Team Connect 2, just in a small form factor. Now, of course, it doesn't cover its larger area, but you don't always need that, right? And sometimes, it's great. And actually, I'm going to call it their Mobile Connect too. We have several of those in demo right now, or as a case study at our university, and they work great, and we're excited to see the promised functionality finally, where you're gonna be able to have students use them as a microphone as well. Grab their phone, connect, be able to talk into their own phone, and have it come out as a microphone feed.
Yeah, and I think in the Team Connect line, like the other thing is the price point, right?
Right.
It's the M, the medium,
Right.
but it's not as expensive. So
Yeah.
don't buy more than you need. Or if you have a weird shaped space, they work together. So if I need 2 or 3 to cover something really wide,
Right.
then I can form it. Now you're burying the lead, which was we got a sneak preview of a technology from Sennheiser. It'll be on the booth tour.
I know.
And it is called the Team Connect,
Massive.
a Team Connect microphone ready for a football stadium.
Yes.
And the only place you'll hear about it is the Higher Ed AV Media Sennheiser booth tour.
You're really working something up that people are going to listen to. And no, that's good.
It's true.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
It is true. All right. I do want to give a shout out to our Catchbox friends
Yeah.
who
Oh, yeah,
hooked us up
absolutely.
with our little microphones. So we got some great branding in too as we did all the tours. So I want to give them a shout out. And they're just genuinely awesome people.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just chatting with them.
Absolutely.
Any other products stick out to you all?
I got one more. The last one I've got is the Epifan, which I was happy to finally figure out how to pronounce that this
Yeah,
week.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Epifan Connect software, or their platform, where it's one thing that's really jumped out at me at the show that I'm starting to see more of is people are treating these collaboration platforms like Teams and Zoom and whatnot as, hey, we realize this is actually broadcasting now. This is not just sticking the webcam up. And Epifan has really done that, especially in the Teams environment, where you can bring in multiple sources now to where it looks like a more polished broadcast style interface, as opposed to just looking at the tiny Brady Bunch boxes everywhere. So I was really excited to see that. I'm really excited to get that home and test it and see what we can do with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna steal Ryan's, so you're gonna feel like of another one. But the Neat booth had a lot of.
So it was neat?
It was the
It was
Neat
neat?
booth was very neat. Yes, absolutely. I'll be honest, I hadn't been that familiar with their product line, and I was really impressed. And again, they displayed a 3-monitor setup with a bar on top, and it was easy to use, great functionality. They have this feature, of course, where it identifies the different people, and then it kind of highlights the people in their own separate boxes. And we talk about equity all the time, and to me, that is definitely an aspect of equity, right? The remote people, the local people, they all feel like they have their own box. They're all about the same size. Everyone's included. It was great.
Yeah. And now, not to sell Neat too much, because I literally got 2 demos of Neat stuff delivered to my campus while we were here. I was already interested in doing it. But while we were there, I saw 2 more things about it that I did not know, right?
Oh yeah.
Which was also, the one was, it was Neat Pulse, which is their management
Yes.
platform. And
Yes.
and like all of it, the IP address, the settings, you're keeping up. Is there an error? Is it offline? Everybody does that. But it had 2 things that were awesome. First, the entire touch surface of it is available to a technician through this to touch manipulate. So
Yes.
not only can you help somebody with a call or do the thing, but if they have content up and they don't know how, they have a website up and they're having trouble with that, it's basically like you're touching the screen in the room from
yes.
afar. So it gives you sort of ideas. And then the other one is in there, it reported, the things that it knows, temperature, some of that
was
stuff.
super cool.
But one of them was room occupancy.
Yes.
Not just whether it's occupied, but because it's finding people, how many are in it.
Wow.
So if you've got Neat in the room,
Yes.
you don't need to buy another occupancy sensor because everything it knows is going to be available via API to
Right.
whatever you want to plug it into. So it kind of, something I already was excited about, and then I saw a whole other level that made me think about it differently.
I totally agree with that. And we just got a shout out. Neat is one of the great supporters of Heaven too. So
Yeah.
that is awesome to have been able to see them really live up to the reputation and just keep pushing the limits.
Yep.
2 last things. One, last for me. I said that before, didn't I?
Yeah,
Last, and I just keep coming up with more. It's cool to see Audinate have Dante AV really was like, I don't know the exact number, 9 different manufacturers or so of cameras opening up the API, so now you can use press strong control your controller and be able to do switching and switch it from there. I thought that was great. And so you can keep your touch panels and be able to browse that. And then I'm gonna have because I'm kind of familiar with it. Speaking of camera stuff, BC and I got a hush room thing this morning. We had the NDA room that they're letting higher ed AV break. So yes. So we're breaking this. The video needs to be vetted first, but we are allowed to say what it is. BC. No, wait. Before you tell the story, first time in my life I ever saw BC grab a notebook and start writing stuff down. Hold on.
Let me go grab the notebook. Stall.
He got so excited. But how I'm stalling without telling. He literally is going to grab the notebook, and it was great because we sat there and they go into the hush. We go upstairs, go in. And he starts the PowerPoint of here's the features you're going to see, and of course you're like, okay, this is great, this is whatever, and then they hit go time on it, and BC just reaches for the notebook.
So can I say the name, or should we
You
hold
can't
on?
say the name.
Okay, so Hudley has got something out called the Hudley Crew, right? And
Coming out.
I thought I said
Coming
out.
soon.
Coming soon. Coming eventually.
Demos in March, shipping in August.
Demos in March. It's day 4 of ISE. Walked about 30 miles. I'm tired. So you always hear about AI. AI is coming. AI is coming. I was always like, I've seen Terminator. It doesn't end well. But this has made me a believer. I will say that this has made me a believer. So Hudley, what they did was they partnered with television folks, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, that this conferencing stuff is actually television production.
Right.
We just do that at an extremely rudimentary level. So Hudley brought in the right people, and they've developed a 3-camera system that is powered by AI. And what do I mean by that? I mean, we're not doing the voice tracking or the motion tracking or the frame zooms, nothing like that. The AI on board the 3 cameras is actually talking with each other and finding the best composed shot. And the thing that impressed me the most was that it wasn't the best composed shot around who's speaking, it's the best composed shot of the room. So Mike, when you're talking about meeting equity and equity of the people that are in the conference room and the remote site, this does that, because when you're in a conference room, you're looking around at everybody else in the room, you're seeing what everybody else is doing, what their reactions are to things. This allows you to do that in a 3-camera system that it looks like the pricing is going to be right where it needs to be for deployment in the right spaces. One of the coolest things that actually made me excited, it was something that looks like it was, I don't know, didn't look like you're just looking at it would be impressive, but it caught my attention, was they actually were forward thinking enough to put tally lights on each camera. So you're not guessing which camera is active, but sometimes in a multi-camera setup, you're like, where do I look? What am I looking at? So I can't wait to get that system in and give it a try. I think this is going to be one of those things where it does indeed actually revolutionize the market.
That wasn't there to see it. Now I wish I was, right? Looking forward to seeing it. That's super exciting. We often talked about how, pre-pandemic there was certainly some lecture capture going on, but in many cases it was operator led, right? There was an operator in the back room, making sure that the camera's in the right position, switching cameras as needed, giving you that production value. That's the term I'm going to use for this. Like, this is going to give you production value without an operator, and that is an amazing value.
Yeah, and that was my question. Is that why it's called crew?
Yes.
It's like production crew as a service. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know. Is that the right way to think about it?
It really was amazing, and it has its AI curator or whatever it's called lives within the cameras itself.
Yes. Yeah.
So all you do is you plug it into a network switch. They start talking to one another. It goes through, and going back to what BC said. And again, this was the beta stuff we saw, so it's going to get better. Well, by the time people see it in the demos, it's going to be seamless.
Yes.
But they actually did the demo with the live people in the headquarters from Oslo, Norway.
Yes.
So it wasn't just making it up in a room. They started a call, and what it would do is you could see the person speaking, and it would give you the frame shot of them. and then it would take a cut of like the 4 of us. Then it would cut back to those people, and if I turned this way, that camera would pick up, and then maybe it would give us a 2 shot.
Yeah.
And it's just doing that. And
Yes.
It's doing it as it's going through, and following the people talking.
Production value.
Production value is close there. And also, 2 other things that jumped out at me. One is that it's PoE, so, and the kit itself comes with the PoE switch. It doesn't touch the network, which is going to make my network folks be very, very excited. It's not something that's on the network. But also, the fact that the AI software itself lives on the cameras, there's nothing to install on a BYOD device.
Right.
And you can also use your other microphones in the room. So if you're using a Sennheiser, if you're using a Shure, if you're using something else, you still get that same high quality. I'm sure it's ugly. They're going to have great audio anyway. But if you already have an existing system that you've got an investment in, this will just layer on top of it. So I am like Joe was talking, like this one is like one of the products that gave me goosebumps because I'm very excited about what it's going to do.
Like, it's not something to say, like, if BC got converted over and got goosebumps by it,
He made notes.
I made
He took
notes. I took notes, okay?
that's something.
There's other things where I'm just like,
something.
oh, it's another one of these.
Yeah, just walking. Oh, I've seen this
Yeah.
before. This was like I've never seen this. I need this.
Yes.
I have to have this. So.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Yeah, we were a little hyped about that one. Hush rooms are fun, aren't they?
They're great.
Yeah,
They are the
yeah,
best.
hush rooms are fun. A lot of NDA stuff that we know that came out. I mean, even going back to press drawings. We actually broke 2 things because he turned on for us, which they weren't showing. How about this? NVX that does multiple streams.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can do a 4-box using one NVX on top of the software. So if you're a classroom, let's say you're like USC, we're all BYOD, so that doesn't apply to us. But what if you're a school where you have a Podium computer and someone logs into their Microsoft account to have their PowerPoint? Now that computer is an NVX encoder just naturally, and you can take the camera from the room and multi-stream into one NVX box.
Yeah.
That was pretty, and they turned that on for us too. That was great, and we got a photo bomb by John Hewlett.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, John, we missed you, but it was great seeing you remote. So.
All right. So I guess as we start to wrap this up, unless there's other products that
That's
we
all I
haven't
got.
said, as we wrap this up, when you go home and everyone asks you, "How was ISE?" What's your answer?
The answer to that is kind of overwhelming, right? ISE is going to give you all that you can handle. So know what you're ready for. Be ready for it. But you will not be short of ideas, experiences, technology, learning, foreign travel, and people. You're going to see the people that you only meet on Twitter in real life.
Yeah. No, I couldn't say it better myself, right? I mean, it goes back to the people. I mean, it always goes back to the people. And, I got to meet some people in real life for the first time, and that's always great. For me, ISE, overall, it was a fantastic experience. That's the word I'm going to use. It was fantastic. I mean, it was, look forward to coming back.
So I'm going to use a word. It might be seen as a negative word, but it's not. I don't mean it in that case. I'm going to say it's challenging. And what I mean by that is that you've got a much bigger hall size, right? You've got much more to see, so you're going to challenge yourself to try to see it all. But not only that, and it might just because this is like the first true event that's we're coming out of the pandemic. It's that you're seeing a lot more. You're seeing really how the AV industry has evolved. And most of the time, when you get to InfoComm, you've already seen all the videos coming out of ISE, so you're not getting as much exclusive or first-time stuff. This has really challenged me in some of the things that I've seen. Like this is interesting. Like, why do they develop that? And then when I find out why, I'm like, well, this is cool. How can I integrate this into my environment? So, other than that, I mean, I can't echo enough what these gents said here. It's been a fantastic experience, top to bottom.
Not just if you don't mind, like, really challenging is a great word.
Yeah.
You can't do it casually.
No.
You have to do this actively. You can't just roll in. You know what I'm saying? It's a real process.
Yeah. And so I've said last, I don't know how many times. when one of your colleagues or any of our higher ed people say, is ISE worth going to? Because they think across the other side of the world it wouldn't be. Is it something that our people should be coming to?
100%. Like we met someone from UNC on the first day randomly, right?
Oh, best of ISE is Carlos.
Yes,
Carlos
Carlos
not make best
UNC's
of ISE.
Best of ISE list without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I mean, before this, I would have walked into my director's office and like, hey, I want to go to ISE, and he'd have been like, out. But when you start looking at it from like, I know it's higher ed, so we're looking at things from a cost perspective for sure. I would say it's right on par with Infocom, without a doubt. And you're getting an extra day of show.
Yep.
You're getting more experience to different cultures, learning about new perspectives of doing things. So I would say, without a doubt, if I would put ISE on my budget and on my agenda every single year from here on out.
We ran into Steve Warho while we were here,
Yeah.
a former higher ed individual, and he works for a company now, but he brought 15 higher ed folks from Canada with him. Obviously there's value to bringing people here to the show.
Yeah. And I would just encourage people to look at the real travel cost involved in it. It is not what you think it is.
Right.
It's international, so it gets questioned, but put it together. And if you need help, ask us.
Yeah.
We've been here. We can talk about it. We can talk about the value. But from a cost perspective, it really isn't that much more. From a value perspective, the timing of the year is better.
Yes.
The exposure is better. And Carlos, absolutely, and not only we pulled him in onto a podcast, so you can learn all about Carlos on an episode of this very podcast.
Yeah. Oh, so fantastic. It looked like you wanted to reach for them, but you didn't. Okay. I want to make sure. I guess for me, I'm gonna say, BC, that was great. I like the word challenging, but everyone asks me, so how was it? What did you see? And it's not about the things I see. I'm just really excited to have the buzz back in our industry. This isn't my first ISE, but I've seen pre-pandemic ISEs. I would say this has more buzz than I even saw in the pre-pandemic ones. And I was talking to Brad from Crestron on the podcast I was recording this morning, and he said that too. He said there's something different, and there's a sense of purpose behind what we're doing now. And that to me was what was cool. And that's kind of my takeaway. The gear, the equipment, the things, the tools, great. The buzz of the just seeing it crowded and all of that, I don't know.
We're not, it definitely felt like we weren't just going through the motions again.
No.
It wasn't like, it's another trade show. It's like no, we're together again. People are excited to be here. They're excited to be amongst each other and see things and do things. So I think that's 1,000% right, Joe. It's the buzz is back. Everything is open up again. So let's go.
Yeah, no, totally. And we got a Dave Labuscus cameo in this
know,
too.
good.
I mean,
So
look
good.
at this. So I'll also just say the final thing, this really is my biggest thing is, again, thank you to ISE. This is
thank
now
you.
the second time that they have sponsored me out here to kind of be here with the Influencers Lounge, and I can't thank you all enough. I know that a little bit of the I will say, and we don't even need to get into this because I already said final. The higher ed is different in Europe than U.S. We have a tendency in the U.S. to really hang out together, to be a mob. In the Europe, they much more kind of hang out to themselves. You've got your groups. So, I was brought out here, and we brought Higher Ed AV up here to kind of start working on that again. If you've never had the culture of being in a group, you're not going to. I saw movement,
Yes.
I saw movement. And so I already know that I'm coming back out next year, so that is going to happen again. So thank you, ISE, for always being a huge support. I can't say enough that you exceeded expectations, and I'm pretty sure everyone on the board of ISE would say that they exceeded expectations. And the numbers, they speak for themselves. So with that being said, how do people get a hold of you?
I'm Ryan, so find me Ryan_A_Gray on Twitter, or easy to find on LinkedIn.
Yeah, again, I'm Mike. You can find me on Twitter at PED1971, PED1971. or you can reach me at mike@higheredav.
That's true.
.com.
And you can find me on the Twitters at BC Hatchet. I'm also LinkedIn, but I can't remember what that is because it's day 4 at ISE. So again, y'all leave me alone. But yeah, feel free to connect with me on Twitter. I love interacting with folks, and looking forward to it.
Yes, and also I'll give a shout out to Karen Ethier. Look at some of the write-ups that she's done. Lost voice on like day 2. You know, I lost my for day. I'm back. You know, I think it's the convention error does it to me. It's convention error. But she's got some articles there. You can find her on not on Twitter, but on LinkedIn. And then of course you can find me at Josiah Way on all of the socials. Find at HiredAV on all the socials. Like, share, tell about your closest friends, 200 of your enemies. And we will all be better together. So thank you again, as noted, always. All the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those represented by our institutions or any sponsors of this show. And if you didn't like these opinions, it's because they're not very good guests. All right, see you all.